Hey, what's going on? What's going on? What's going on? CoinOpTV subscribers, Robert Welkner here with another CoinOpTV live and interactive. On today's show, we're going to be talking about Battlefield 1, which recently came out for the Xbox One, PlayStation 4, and Windows PC from EA and DICE. It is set in World War I. Here's a graphic to check out. Comes with a large-scale multiplayer and a single-player campaign. And as a special bonus, we're going to add in to the review discussion CJ, who is one of CoinOpTV's features contributors. What's going on, CJ? Good to see you, sir.
Hey, what's going on, Rob? Hello, everybody. It looks like we're going to check out some Battlefield today, so hopefully everybody has gotten their hands on it or gotten to see some of our videos or some videos out there, but there's a lot to talk about. It's a big game.
Yes, so this is kind of a new thing I'm trying out with CoinOpTV. I've done some live streaming gameplay. We put up some beta stuff, but now we want to actually kind of do like a little bit of a live review and get some feedback from you guys also who are watching or might have questions or concerns. If you guys are watching this in the archive, let us know in the comments below what you think of the game, or if you have any questions, we'll try and answer that as well. So, CJ, let's see. So you've been playing mostly. Let's just catch us up to speed here. You've been mostly playing some multiplayer. Is that the vibe?
Yeah. So I went out and I got the PC version of the game. Now it's also on Xbox One, PlayStation 4. It seems like all of the versions look great, run great. There were a few issues yesterday. I know with some of the weird hacking stuff going on, but overall, yeah, the PC version is what I've been playing, and it's been smooth so far, smooth sailing. So. There's a lot we can get into. I don't know. What do you want to start with, Rob? What do you want to talk about?
Let's see. Well, let's start. I guess we'll start with the simple things like graphics and sounds, and I'll play some gameplay there. So, take us through some of your thoughts on that.
Yeah, and hopefully my gameplay looks good because I'm not amazing at Battlefield, but I think I'm pretty good. You know, it's one of those games that you definitely have to work yourself up to a good position in. It's not like a Call of Duty where you can just pick it up and it's like riding a bike, but yeah, overall for graphics, now on the PC it obviously looks incredible. I mean, I'm running a GTX 980 card, so it's one of NVIDIA's probably a year and a half old card now, but it still runs 60 frames per second. Everything looks great. I've had it on Ultra and it really shines. So on the consoles I've seen a little bit of footage here and there and some of the gameplay, and they did a really good job with this game. Even on Xbox One, that's still slightly underpowered compared to the PlayStation, it really looks good. All the textures look great. The atmosphere looks great. There's effects like fog and different weather patterns. Even things down to when you're crawling around in the dirt, your gun will get muddy and you'll see the mud on the texture on the gun. And all of it looks really good and it sounds really good. So if you have a loud surround sound system, you may want to be careful about your neighbors because it literally sounds like there's a war going on in your living room. So they have multiple different options. They have the war tapes option, which they've had with every Battlefield, that essentially enhances all of the war sounds. So if you have a house where you can listen to that stuff at full blast or have a nice pair of headphones, that is definitely the way to go. But the sound design in the game is really good because you can actually hear people coming around, sneaking up on you, and as you kind of see the video that's playing, you'll notice like the horse sounds. You'll hear horses just out of nowhere, so you immediately know to duck and cover and get out of the way. Explosions, everything. So it looks great. It sounds great. It's probably one of the best looking games of the year, if not the best looking game, especially on consoles. So,
alrighty.
I don't know about what you've seen in your single player gameplay that's up on the site, but it definitely looks good to me.
Alrighty, we're getting some more people jumping in chat. What's up, Gamer Boy, McMenu, Chloe, and a few others. So you mentioned horses, and of course that's kind of a new thing, is being able to ride horses and go up and shoot. You could shoot with the horses. You could shoot at people, and you can also melee, like slash at them, right? With the horseback riding.
Yeah, you can. And the funny thing is, and they may eventually end up nerfing horses a little bit, but they seem like almost tanks. Like, you'll see in this video, but I definitely sprint around on a horse, and you can just zigzag around people and run straight at them, and they'll be shooting you with a light machine gun or something that really should take down a horse pretty quick. But you can just go right up to them, and the sword is a one-hit kill, and you can just pretty much rain terror with that thing. So if you hear That's where the sound design really ties in, because if you hear that horse coming behind you, you want to get down on the ground or get out of the way, because that one hit kill will get you without even suspecting it. So yeah, the horses have been a great addition. I don't know if they'll take that forward, if they decide to do a new modern game in the future, if they'll add that in, because that's not really infantry anymore. I mean, this is kind of a throwback to World War I, where horses were used a lot because the tanks weren't quite up to where they are now, obviously. So yeah, the horses have probably been one of my favorite vehicles in the game, just because of how deadly they are. So if you're out there playing Battlefield, get on those horses. Don't just ignore them like they're the crappy motorcycle vehicles like you see in every other Battlefield game. Use those horses. That's a key point.
And then what about, have you gotten a chance to get into some tanks? Let me roll some tank gameplay. This is from single player campaign, but what were some of your thoughts of the tanks?
The tanks are good. They're a little bit harder to control, I feel like, than Battlefield 4, the previous modern games, and that's probably by design, because tanks back then were a little clunkier. They are a lot smaller too, so you'll see in some of the gameplay they're almost like single person or two person tanks. And the one I enjoyed using the most, I'm not sure the name exactly, but there's one that you can drive around and then you can set in place, and it has a mortar, so you can roll up behind a conquest point and sit about 500 yards out and just shoot that mortar over top and hit people hiding behind walls, and really provide good support to your teammates. So that's I think they're very useful in the game. They can definitely be taken out if you're not paying attention, especially with the map design the way it is, where there's buildings and things everywhere where people can be hiding. So some of the more open maps, you have to watch out for the big bombers flying overhead, but they really do offer support for your team as you kind of try to push and take over those conquest points.
All right, nice. We got a few more people jumping in chat. Angel is in chat. Shoutouts, and Toby as well. McMenu wants to know, can you use grenades while riding the horse? What are some of the options? I've heard you can have your flamethrower gun while you're riding horseback. Is that a thing? Can you do grenades also?
Man, I haven't even tried the flamethrower. Now got me wanting to try that today. I think you can throw grenades. I haven't tried it a lot, because I'll usually use the gas grenades, and I'll usually throw them into the point and then jump on the horse and run around and try to take people out with that sword. But you can switch to a primary rifle that for people that are farther distance away. It's kind of hard to shoot because you're obviously on the back of a horse. So I've just been primarily using that sword that you get and just sprinting around the map and kind of zigzagging and taking people out one by one. But there are other options. If you can get good with a rifle on a horse, you can probably do some pretty good damage from range distances. But I think they're primarily meant to kind of not necessarily sneak up on your enemies, but get right behind them quickly and take them out with that sword and then get out of there, because they're so quick. So they're definitely more maneuverable than the tanks and faster, and you can just run all over the map. So they're also really good for just getting to different points, because they're really spread out on some of these maps. You saw that in the beta on the big open sand map that you're showing in the gameplay footage as well.
Okay, speaking of gameplay, so I've been showing a little bit of some flying around, some aerial tactical combat here. I gotta say, when I played the beta, I did a terrible job at flying. How do you think the controls are? How'd you do with the flying? What's your impressions?
I like it a lot. I've always liked the flying in Battlefield, and on the PC it's a little different because you're starting out with a keyboard. But what I've done is I keep my Xbox Elite controller plugged in, and as soon as I get in an airplane, I'll just pick that up and switch over to it. It's much easier to fly with a controller. So if you're on PC and you're not doing that right now, try that if you're having issues with flying around. But overall, the planes all seem to work pretty well. The bomber has been my favorite because you can kind of take it slow and then just swoop in and drop a bunch of bombs on people as you're going. And it really does a lot of damage, and it'll take out giant buildings that people are hiding in. You just got to be careful, because on a lot of maps there's the aircraft turrets that people will get on and just take you out. So you also have the big behemoths that fly in now. So people might have seen the big blimp that comes in and it's got guns on it. So you really have to work with your teammates, if you're on the opposing team, to use the aircraft to take out that thing, because that will wipe your entire team. So yeah, the planes have been great. Obviously not jets like Battlefield 4 or before, that you go all the way around the map in like 2 seconds. These are a little slower, but they're still, you still do dogfighting. They're still really fun to play.
All right, alrighty. Let's see. In chat, Toby says, "Hey, Robbie, have you ever played Splatoon? I have played a little Splatoon. I don't have a Wii U at the moment, so we'll see." Trawingers in chat says, "Hey, remember me? Yes, of course, I remember you." Let's see if we got any other questions there. All right, let's talk. Let's talk about some multiplayer modes and stuff like that. You mentioned Conquest. What are some of the gameplay modes that are maybe are new or returning, and some of your impressions on those?
The probably the funniest new mode, I think there's a mode that involves a pigeon, and it's a war pigeon. So what I've heard of this mode and what I've played, it's kind of like Oddball if you've ever played Halo, where you have the skull and you got to keep it for points. But after so long, after you hold it for, I'm not sure if it's 30 seconds or a minute, you have to then write a note on the pigeon and release it to score points. So the enemy can chase you around, try to get the pigeon from you, and as you're releasing it, they can shoot it, which then negates any of your points. So it's kind of like in Oddball mode, where you really have to hold on to that and kind of get in your own corner of the map and get your teammates to defend you. But then there's also that element of, well, I have to let it go. Now I have to go get the other one that spawned. So it's kind of a weird mode, but I like it. You don't see a lot of games that kind of take that Halo Oddball style gameplay and put it into modern shooters, or, well, Battlefield 1 is more of an old school modern shooter, but you get what I'm saying. So the pigeon mode's really cool. I think the big newer modes, a lot of them are still based on Conquest, where you're taking the points, or Rush, where you're kind of pushing through maps. There is a big new mode that is based on the Rush, where you kind of push through 5 different points as the other team's trying to keep you from those points, and it will alternate maps as you go forward. So these matches can take up to an hour to complete, and it's loading different maps in as you win or lose the key points. So it's there's some really neat modes in there. There's not a ton, but there's enough that you should have plenty to pick from when you're going in there to try to figure out what to play or what you want to play with your friends.
Jack in chat says, a mode about pigeons? Yes, that's what's going on with video games these days. Jesse says,
World War One.
Yeah, World War One, pigeons, saving the day, or, sending messages and stuff. It's kind of like if you're a Game of Thrones person, the birds, come into play a lot with that. We got Jesse in chat says that Jesse's playing Battlefield 1 as well. All right, let's jump over to single player. So CJ has been playing a lot of the multiplayer. I've been playing mostly single player, although I did play some multiplayer and the beta and at preview events at like E3 and stuff like that. So let me run some single player gameplay. Some of my impressions are, of course, graphics looking great. I'm playing on the PlayStation 4, sound design, graphics, course, looking smooth. There's only been a few times when I've hit like some weird hiccups or glitches where like somebody will be running towards me and they'll pop up on like the top of a roof or something and like they've teleported, but haven't seen a lot of that so far, so that's been refreshing. The complaint I have with single players though is the AI just always seems to know where you are, no matter what. Like, I almost feel like it's kind of a waste to try and be stealthy and sneak around, because it seems like no matter what happens, the AI will just know where to shoot at me or run up behind me and shoot me, and I just found that a little strange that,
Yeah, it sounds like Call of Duty when you get on the harder modes, where they're just instantly throwing grenades right on top of your head all the time. So it seems a little cheap sometimes. So hopefully you can kind of get around that. But yeah, the AI is something I heard a little bit about too. So we'll have to see. Yeah,
it's weird. It's good. It's like good and bad. Like, the good side is sometimes the AI will just stand out in the open and not take cover. So if you if you are getting shot at, you can take them out easily. We're watching actually some gameplay of me trying to take down a flamethrower guy.
Oh, those guys are hard. Those guys have more health. Even in multiplayer, once you put on that flame suit, you get a lot more health and you take a lot more shots. So you really got to be paying attention.
Yeah, you're seeing me kind of ducking for cover here, and I've got a flame guy. So yeah, those flamethrower guys are like almost like mini boss battles and stuff like that. You got to shoot the tank there, the tank on their back to sort of get rid of them. I've been doing like kind of just tossing a grenade. Anytime I see a flamethrower guy, I just try and toss a grenade at them. Is that a good tip or strategy, or do you have anything else for countering the flamethrower dudes?
I think that works pretty well. You can also try to shoot the flamethrower pack that they have on their back, and I think eventually if you hit them enough, they'll explode and take out anybody nearby. But yeah, they just take a lot of bullets, so you got to stay back probably a good 50, 60 feet from them too, because that flame will shoot all the way across maps, it seems like. So just make sure you know where they're at all times, and you can kind of take them out, because I don't think they move very fast. They just kind of walk along and shoot fire everywhere. So you get up high and get above them, throw grenades, use anything you got in your inventory to take those guys out quick, because they'll do some damage, especially in multiplayer. And in multiplayer, they're kind of situated around the map where it'll say there's a flamethrower available, and you'll go over to a box and anybody can pick it up and put it on. So it's not a loadout or anything like that. It just randomly appears in the multiplayer game. So you got to kind of keep an eye out for those guys.
Yeah, flamethrowers are pretty tricky. Some of the gameplay I'm showing right here, there's a level in the game where you're kind of in this armored suit. So if anybody's watching this wondering, like, gee, Rob's just like mowing people down, no problem. I'm actually in this like armored, like bulletproof suit thing that I'm trudging through the trenches. A lot of gameplay. I don't know. I know a lot of young people are on our YouTube channel, CoinOpTV here. Maybe haven't seen some of the classic films, but a lot of playing this reminded me of an old Gary Cooper movie called Sergeant York, where I think that might be in World War I also, and it's a lot of trench warfare where he has to kind of go through trenches and shoot at German Nazi soldiers and stuff like that, and that kind of reminded me of that. Was there any movies or TV shows that playing Battlefield 1 kind of reminded you of at all?
Well, not in general, but I agree with you. Like a lot of the older kind of World War I based movies and TV shows, the one thing that this game has done well that I think that they could have really gone bad on was representing World War I for what it was. I mean, a lot of people were worried when they first announced they were doing World War I because, it was a really brutal war. It was a big war, and they were worried they were going to kind of make it, well, it's video gamey, it's cartoony, and that's really not what it was about at all. So the one good thing I've heard that they've done is really put effort into humanizing the soldiers and showing exactly how bad that war was. So I don't know if you've seen some of that going through those single player missions and kind of the cutout missions as they kind of structured it, but that's one thing that even in multiplayer you notice that it really you see the destruction, you see everything going on, and it really feels like they put their time into kind of making it true to form as far as you can in a video game, at least.
Yeah, the brutality is like level 100. You can shoot. I was just showing some tank stuff there, blasting people away with a tank, watching people explode. Of course, we mentioned the flamethrower. When they explode, they're like people. It's like a little napalm death where everybody around them is on fire, and you can hear kind of groaning and stuff like that. So yeah, it's pretty brutal, pretty intense. Final thought on kind of with me with the single player though is I still feel, and this is a problem with modern games, of Call of Duty and a lot of shooters, is just very scripted. A lot of times I wanted to kind of go off the beaten path and do a little exploring, or maybe kind of go around an objective to sort of flank it, and I would get the little message that said like return to the battle area, stuff like that. Did you notice anything that sort of stood out that hindered your gameplay? I know you've been playing a lot of multiplayer. Any server issues or anybody besides the horse that needs to get nerfed?
Not really any server issues. I think the first day there was a little bit going on, but using DICE's dedicated servers seems to help quite a bit. Put a lot of that on the individual network of the person, as opposed to that person's lagging all over the map. So aside from that, like the map boundaries in multiplayer are pretty good because the maps are really big. You do have a few maps where there seems to be a capture point, and it's like 30 feet away from one of those boundaries. So if you're trying to go up and around and snipe down on it, you may run into that. With planes, the way they have done in the past is they'll expand that. So if you're flying a plane, you can go a lot further out than you can as like a sniper running around on foot, which helps because you got to turn those things around, and they're big and they're slow sometimes. But overall performance seems to be pretty good. The only thing I've ever noticed is if you go prone, there's a lot of times where you'll clip through some rocks, or if somebody walks into you while you're prone, it'll kind of glitch out a little bit, and you'll kind of look really weird laying on the ground. But mostly it's been pretty smooth, and there haven't been a lot of bugs that I've noticed. I'm sure there's a lot that people find one-off of funny bugs where people disappear or wind up on rooftops or things like that. But I haven't really noticed a lot of them, which has been good because past Battlefield games, you know, especially during launch week, have been kind of rough. And I think it's that way for a lot of new shooters when they come out. It's just that server load so unbearable that it doesn't usually work the first day. And I was able to come home, you know, Friday when this launched for everybody and boot it up and play a bunch of matches, and I didn't really have any problems. So, I mean, props to them for keeping it online at launch. It's sad that we have to say that now, but you know, that's kind of the place we're in with multiplayer shooters and servers as they are. So, yeah, pretty good overall on my side.
Cool. So we will have CJ is actually working on putting together the full review for the full review article for the CoinOpTV website. This is something new we're trying, is to kind of do a little jump in, a review in progress sort of thing. Do a little live stream, see if there's any questions, concerns you guys have. Somebody in chat was talking a lot about Splatoon and playing as a sniper in Splatoon. I don't know if Splatoon skills and Battlefield 1 skills cross over a whole lot, but you know, they are both fun shooter games to play. This is obviously a little more on the mature, serious side and stuff like that. So all right, cool, CJ. Well, thanks for jumping on the live stream and giving us some gameplay to check out. We'll keep an eye out for your article on the website. Make sure you follow him on Twitter as well, twitter.com/deadlycyclone. I guess that's it for today's video. We'll see all you guys and girls probably tomorrow. I'll probably be doing another Skylanders Imaginators live stream tomorrow, Monday, if my schedule permits. If not, Tuesday or beyond. We'll see you guys in the next video. Laters.
See you guys.